Hey all, and welcome to Geek Freaks. This is another one of our special episodes reviewing Picard Episode 3. I'm with Jonathan. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So, before we get too far, total spoilers, of course. But Jonathan, what'd you think of this episode overall?
It was pretty good. I felt like it didn't pick up as much speed as I had expected. I thought this was gonna like wrap up the intro, build the cast, crew, or whatever, and just launch us into an exciting adventure. But
Yeah.
it was still just kind of the same slow acceleration of the story. So not as exciting as I was hoping.
It's so funny that you say that because it really does feel like the third part of the intro, you know?
Yeah,
And I think the final words of this episode, and we'll mention those at the end here, but I think that's literally put in to kind of like, okay, and we're starting now, you know?
yeah,
The episode's called "The End Is the Beginning," and it feels like it should be the other way around, like the beginning's ending, like that's what it should be called. But yeah,
yeah. I
so it's
think they're
kind of
trying to go ahead and warn people, like, yeah, we know this is taking a while to take off, but just hang in there. It's coming.
yeah. Uh, so we kind of have this crew forming up, and we'll talk ahead of what we're going to be doing with the plot here. But
Mm.
I was noticing something when you take this crew and how it's forming. If you were to take Picard out of it, doesn't that crew still feel pretty solid?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What was her name? Rafi could be the captain, I imagine, if Picard wasn't in the picture. Um, but I think, I mean, him with his age and wisdom and stuff, you kind of want a leader like him. So, but yeah, I think they'd be a little more reckless, but be pretty cool to see.
If I were to pick, it'd be 709. It's gonna be the captain.
Ah, that's true.
And I think
That would be.
Rafi is going to be kind of this like problematic, always dealing with, her own issues. Looks like she's addicted to snake leaf and gambling. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that'll be something there. I don't know. It's good cast. It's good cast crew right here. Interesting.
Yeah, I think 709 though she'd be cool in the lead role. I don't know if she like her character would choose to be a captain. I think she's a little more of a free spirit renegade that would just want to, take control and do things her way and not follow any kind of code or anything like that. You know what I mean?
You know who that sounds like is in Discovery, the Mirror captain in the second season.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's what she'd be like. Ah, man. I don't know. They got something good going here.
Yeah.
Okay, so like before, we're still kind of workshopping this new way of reviewing things, but we'll go over the five big moments throughout the show. So we're going to start off with number one. This is the intro. We have a younger Picard and Rafi, and they're discussing this is post Mars attack.
Mhm.
Starfleet has banned all synthetics, and Picard wants to investigate farther. He threatens to resign, and they're like, okay, we'll take your resignation. So Picard resigns. He's kind of in shock by this, and then Rafi finds out that she's fired because of his resignation. She's like, one and on with him. Uh, what did you think of this scene and what this had set up?
It wasn't like a very impactful scene. It was just a very good way to me to just give us some backstory and fill in some of the gaps of what we don't know.
Yeah,
So it wasn't like a aha, oh my goodness, kind of surprise or nothing, but it was good to see that like uh, it kind of built in a connection with Rafi
exactly.
and leads to her later, confrontation with him, I guess.
What do you think about? Because the last episode we've had this as well. What do you think about them always starting the episode with a flashback like this?
So far, I like it just because we're still lacking so much information.
Mm-hmm.
But I think later on, once we're deep into the plot, you're not going to want flashbacks so much. It's a recap of the last episode is great, but to just start with flashbacks of years past, I don't think it'll be necessary once you get deeper into the story.
I think we're learning that this show is not following the like main Star Trek or especially like TNG's format. And so I'm thinking the format of this show might actually lean into something where it could start with this like look back at something in Picard's life or whoever's life, and then that become the catalyst for the episode. So like maybe I'll use Voyager in terms for this. So say we start off with Seven of Nine, learning about the Borg having like a place where they all dream and stay together in this perfect world, and then she has that in the beginning, and then the rest of the episode is discovering this Borg cube where they're weirdly not connected, but yet they all talk together at the end, and they're creating this rebel alliance.
Resistance, yeah.
Resistance. That's the word I couldn't get out of my head. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what if that's kind of their thing? Is like every episode they start off with kind of like a look back at how this character is most suited for what's coming ahead.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Do like a quick foreshadowing or like a brief kind of outline or yeah, foreshadowing
Yeah,
of what's to
foreshadowing. Yeah, I
come.
think it's best.
But that would be very much like Star Trek has done in the past. And I like we talked in the second episode, I don't know, one of the last ones we talked
Hmm.
uh, about how the previous Star Treks, you had that 20-second commercial or whatever to hook people and get them to watch that one episode. So that one episode had to be a story arc and had to have, beginning, middle, and end. Where
Right.
nowadays, I think because, Picard is such a well known name and Star Trek has such a great reputation, people are going to watch this just because of the name. So you don't have to, begin and end in one episode. I think you can
Yeah.
have a long, ongoing story arc without having to like placate to the viewers so rapidly or so dramatically. So I don't think, or I'm hoping it doesn't do that. Short story arcs between each episode because it just seems kind of cheap sometimes.
I'm okay with that too, as long as we have Discovery. You know what I'm saying? I need that Star Trek fix. I like those
Mm-hmm.
short stories that get to the point. So as long as we have Discovery doing that, then I'm okay with Picard doing their own thing. It's great that they're all both in the same world, but I loved that. It's part of the reason I love Star Trek is you sit there, you get a complete story, and then for the rest of the week until the next episode, you're sitting there pondering like, man, are all the holograms their own life forms? And stuff like that that you think about it the entire time. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping something like that. But anyways, yeah, Discovery does that. It this in this scene, two things I wanted to bring up. First off, the Starfleet uniforms looked really awesome. Did you notice those?
From the flashback,
Yeah,
I didn't pay attention to that.
yeah, they're a little different. They kind of got the more detail to them. Yeah, they just looked really cool. So that was just a side thing. And the last thing is, did you notice? To me, it seemed like they kind of used some like de-aging technology on Picard himself, on Jean Luc.
Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to age him up at any point. I think he's normally, his older version is his natural self, but he
Yeah,
definitely looked younger in that flashback. So
he looked
maybe it was
like,
just makeup. It was probably de aging, CGI.
yeah, he looked like early Professor X to me,
Yeah,
and those, yeah, that level of Patrick Stewart there. Okay,
yeah.
next big moment we have Picard is trying to convince Rafi to help him. Rafi's life seems to have gone downhill since leaving Starfleet. She's apparently growing this thing called snake leaf, and I think it's a drug for them. It looks like she might be smoking it. And then later on, we have hints that she's into gambling now.
Mm-hmm.
Picard, we learned that Picard knows about the Romulan secret police and that they must be working with Starfleet. It's the only way they could be working on Earth. And then eventually, Rafi offers up a pilot named Rios. From this scene, did we learn anything interesting to you?
Um, we got to learn, well, we already heard a little bit of Rafi's backstory of how she lost her job, but we didn't know until then that it led to a downward spiral. And she mentioned too that she had concrete evidence that there was some conspiracy in the Federation um, to I don't know how to hack, I guess, those
Yeah,
synthetics and cause the attack on Mars.
that's a good point. Yeah,
And so that was kind of interesting that she was one of Picard's ride or dies, and then she lost her job because of his actions, and then she got shunned from Starfleet when she started talking about this kind of stuff, and now she's living in which stage production is really cool. How I
yeah,
love how they build these sets, but she's living in what's basically a mobile home out in the middle of the desert somewhere,
yeah,
but
space
a
mobile home.
space mobile home. Yeah, it's like a portable space lab or something.
It's so funny that it
Um,
looks like it's from the future, and yet we can tell what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
yeah, okay, we
yeah,
get
this is what future poor people look like.
it. Yeah, which
Um,
that's kind of funny because if you think about it, like they got rid of currency, so what is poor in this universe? I don't know. That's kind of
yeah,
weird.
that's true. I mean, yeah, that's hard to understand. How would interactions work with no currency? I mean, you have to have stuff.
You'd
I
assume
don't
she
know.
still has a replicator. You know, it's like a common thing that all humans have. I think. So it's weird
Yeah,
that she would be considered poor in any way. I don't know. It's weird.
yeah. But she was also drinking too. You mentioned the snake or
Oh yeah, she was drinking.
snake leaf, and yeah, so she's got several vices. That'll be interesting.
That's the only reason she talked to Picard is because he brought the wine.
Yeah,
So
good excuse to talk.
Next big moment, Picard meets with Rios on his ship. Rios is getting shrapnel removed from his shoulder from an EMH that looks like him, which I'm already excited.
It was
I was
ENH.
gonna
It was
say,
a
yeah, yeah.
navigation hologram.
What was it?
Emergency navigational hologram.
Navigational. Okay, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, there was a moment that I really liked where Picard almost sits in the captain's chair. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, yeah. He kind of glanced at it and he's like, reconsidered and walked on to the other
Yeah,
one.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, that means they're gonna pay that off later on. I'm okay with that. And then the ENH convinces Rios to join Picard. And another thing I liked is that it's almost like the ENH is the perfect version of him. He has this really nice British or it's like Scottish or Irish accent. I think Scottish. And he's like got a really nice, well done hair, and he seems like his clothes is well done. And he's sitting there talking to Rios, who's like, I've lived on the edge for too long, you know? So I wonder if, and Picard had even mentioned, like, your ship's immaculate. So you're definitely Starfleet through and through. You're just pretending to be this outlaw. It's a facade for you. So I wonder if that ENH was created back when he was a really good, member of Starfleet or something like that. And it's just kind of now always haunting him, also being his best friend. It's kind of interesting friendship there.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's gonna play out to be a good narrative because that whole kind of back and forth is kind of like Han and Chewie. Seems like to me.
Yeah.
Not to turn this into a Star Wars thing, but they seem to play off each other well. It'd be funny.
Well, this does feels like the most Star Wars esque Star Trek property so far. You know what I'm saying? That they're outside of Starfleet this whole time, which is, I mean, that's like so Star Wars, or yeah, Star Wars.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if they're doing any of that intentionally. If they've seen Star Wars success recently and trying to borrow some of their ideas or something.
Yeah, I think it's all about diversifying. Like even the next Star Trek show is going to be a cartoon that's called Lower Decks. It's about like the people that just work on the ship, not necessarily the heroes. And it's like, okay, so you guys are giving us The Office, you know. So they're just like, let's just keep playing in this universe, see what we can make.
Yeah, I mean, people love it, so might as
Okay.
well keep filling it in.
I'm totally on board. Yeah. Okay, so meanwhile, the next plot point here is all the Borg cube stuff. Now we had talked about this beforehand. I'm not totally entertained by all the Borg stuff yet, which is crazy because I love anytime they have anything to do with Borg. But this storyline seems a little slow. How are you feeling about how this whole Soji and the Borg thing's moving along?
So visually, it's awesome because the technology is immaculate. The Borg cube is an awesome setting.
It really is. Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but, but yeah, the story is just kind of slow between them,
Hmm.
and I don't know if they're trying to build up a little bit of suspense or kind of creep along to keep you wondering or guessing. But yeah, I think it could move a little faster.
Yeah, I would totally
Uh,
agree with that.
they're having that little romance between Soji and
Narek.
the Romulan guy, yeah, and but he's using her, and I mean this was
Yeah.
interesting where now we saw from her that she's starting to know things that she shouldn't know or didn't
Yeah.
knew she knew. So it's she hasn't quite been activated yet necessarily, but
She's
it
warming
seems
up.
like she's realizing she's more than she thought she was.
Yeah, and we learned that she's researching something called the shared, or she's calling it the shared framework, which I'm wondering if that's kind of like the Borg network there, where they could all talk to each other through the Borg network. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what that means, what the shared framework is. Do you have any ideas on what that might be?
Well, there was like you kind of talked about earlier, Unimatrix Zero, where they would all dream
There we go.
together.
Hmm.
And there was also the episode where Chakotay landed on that planet that had former Borg, and they would connect themselves in a small hive link of 30 people or whatever, and they would use their mental energy or kinetic energy or whatever to help heal one another. And with that, their
So good.
colony was able to yeah, their colony was able to bond and work together real well and so yeah. So it sounds like that's what she was referencing is that with having a mental link between some people without having a dominant controller of it or whatever
Yeah.
has medical advantages or medicinal purposes to it.
Yeah.
So
So hopefully it's like almost like a natural bond, more so than the Queen controlling them.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
She speaks to what they're referring to as an XB Romulan. How do you like that term, XB, like ex Borg?
Yeah, I can roll with it. I mean, it just seems a little forced, but
Yeah.
if you're dealing with former Borg, you'd probably go with an XB. It just kind of makes sense.
Yeah. It does feel a little bit like, let's be cool now. Let's
Yeah,
get edgy.
yeah.
uh,
Let's just put E in front of it because it's on the internet now.
yeah. So we're sitting here, and she's talking to this XB Romulan who apparently has like tarot cards and is able to see the
Yeah,
future. She knows that what Soji is, and kind of freaks out that she's about to shoot herself. Soji
yeah.
moves quickly, quicker than she's supposed to be able to move, and stops the suicide. Uh, do you think she just exposed who she is when she did that?
Well, I think the people around her, or at least her boyfriend there,
Mm-hmm.
knew exactly who she is and what she's capable of. She just doesn't know yet. So I think it's just she's kind of slightly exposing it to herself. But I I don't know. That's not. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really do a whole lot. It's going to take. It obviously still going to take a little while. More uh, reactions from her, or more insight before she actually cracks open and realizes she's been activated or anything.
All right, and last big moment is, we see Picard kind of saying goodbye to the chateau, saying that really wasn't the life that he was hoping to be able to live that life, but he couldn't. And suddenly, the Romulan secret police attack, and it's a mess. They fight him off. I do like how there's like hidden guns underneath tables and stuff like that. Did you notice that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. One thing I noticed right away too is that the Romulan weapons, their
Yeah.
blasters, whatever, seemed to like burn into the chest because, of course, it was only the Romulans that were getting hit with fire. But they leave like a burn mark in the chest, which obviously looks like a shoot to kill, like a set to
Well,
kill mode. While Picard's guns have like a blue energy and it's like absorbed into your body. It's just like a shockwave. So like their guns are set to stun. So I just noticed that right away off the style of the weapons because that was one of the first things I was excited to see. It was more
that's
weapons
a
in the
keen
show.
eye to catch that. That's smart. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice really the difference in the weapons too much until Dr. Agnes comes in and fires one of the Romulan guns, killing somebody, and they mention like
Yeah,
they don't have a set to stun. So,
yeah,
and so
exactly.
she's like, "Oh my god, what
That's
have
pretty
I
funny.
done?" uh, they end up tying up one of these Romulans, and they're interrogating him, but he ends up freaking out and spitting acid and dying in this acid mess that was like, that's a little bit much. And then
Yeah.
Dr. Agnes says she wants to join Picard's crew, and she reveals that she told Commodore O that oh, I know everything that's going on, but she didn't say that she's going to join. So now we know that now Picard knows that Commodore O's on it, and so now he has somebody basically chasing him through this whole thing. What did you think of that whole
Mhm.
sequence right there?
I didn't have any problem with it. It was wasn't necessarily forced either. It just needed to come out, so it wasn't really exciting. I did like how she had to kind of like sell
Yeah,
herself, and really in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Picard's like jackpot. I got somebody who wants to join the crew
yeah,
for free. Isn't they kind of run away? And she's an expert in synthetics, so I thought that was just kind of funny. And he has this like smirk on his face, like, of course I'll let you join. I mean, it's
you're
your
right.
suicide.
And I like how a lot of people compare things to the D&D rules, and so she would be what's considered lawful good, someone who's just like the paladin of the group. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have a bunch of these people that are
Yeah.
all outside of the law. Even Picard at this point is outside of the law, and then you have somebody that's like, guys, that's the prime directive. We can't mess with that." So I'm looking forward to those interactions in the future. That's pretty cool. Everybody gets on board Rios's ship. Rios's ship, whatever. Um, and we have the full crew now. We have Rios, Picard, Dr. Agnes, and then Rafi joins for now. We learned earlier on when Rafi's doing the research that this Bruce Maddox is on Free Cloud, and there's some sort of gambling, some sort of like dice being rolled. So that's why I think she's probably going with him to go to the casino. Maybe. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I didn't read what she was reading on the
I
screen very
tried, yeah.
quickly, so I don't. Yeah, I don't know what she did. She just okay to me. The way it looked was that she just got some junk mail that happened to be an advertisement for a casino. So she's like, "Oh yeah, you know what? I forgot. I'm addicted to gambling too. I haven't been to that casino in a bit. Let's play this one as a free trip, for me to get over there." So that's what I was thinking is maybe she's lying about knowing his whereabouts, and this is just so that she can get dropped off and left for dead or whatever in
That'd
this
be
casino.
very
where
interesting.
staying.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, once they get there and they're searching for him, and then he's not there, and this was just her ploy to take advantage of them, rob the ship or whatever, and stay on this gambling planet.
So yeah, they're looking for this Bruce Maddox. He's definitely been somebody that they mentioned a few times. He's the reason that Data apparently had kids. It's been bugging me though this whole time. Finally, I had to look it up. Has Bruce Maddox sound familiar to you while you're watching the show? The name? Nothing.
No, not really. I can't think of.
I had to look it up. It's driving me nuts. Bruce Mathis is the name of Dee and Dennis's dad.
Oh yeah,
real dad.
Yeah, their real dad.
So I'm sitting there just like, what is that name from? So I thought maybe it's like a Voyager name or something like that, or an old TNG name. No, I'm just thinking of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sitting there like, is it the one who created the Doctor? But no, that was Zimmerman. Yeah. I don't know.
No, I know. It was just bugging me for like the last 2 episodes, and I had to figure out what the heck is this. So after some research, I'm like, oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, so that's our episode there. Looking into the episode we got coming up, and oh, by the way, the final shot of the episode, we have to mention that. The crew's all in place, and they look to Picard, and Picard finally says, engage. And it feels like, okay, engage, time to start the series up. What did you think?
I kind of felt like they had though they spent 3 episodes building, I don't know, I thought they didn't really have everything built up, but if they're ready to launch into warp, let's go.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because when you look at the next episode, they're going to a planet where they're going to recruit one more guy. But because it's another planet, it does feel like, okay, we're into Star Trekking. He's some sort of like half Vulcan, half elf, I think. He's got a sword that Picard's talking about, like, will you swear your sword to me or something like that?
Yeah, he looks full on like ninja samurai.
To me, he looks like he's from Rivendell, so I'm pretty excited to meet this character. Because a Vulcan elf is like everything I want. That's so cool. Yeah, so overall, what'd you think of the episode? Out of 100, what would you give it?
Man, I don't know. I'm really bad at rating these things without having like a broken score tree or something. Yeah. It was good. I didn't have any problems with it. It wasn't it was just kind of slow again, but it did get a lot of information out there, building up the story. So I'd probably say like 85.
I'm gonna roll, because we finally got some like actual action in it, so I'm gonna go like 79. Still in the 70s, because I mean, I'm ready to start this thing up, but at least we had some action, and I felt like we finally capped things up. We got to meet more of the crew. We kind of we have a crew, that's good too. So I think, I'm going 79. They're going to get into the 80s once they actually start doing some Star Trek stuff. So that'd be nice.
Right. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this review, man. Is there anything else you wanted to say? That's it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Monday. We have on Tuesday. We have another episode coming out that's going to be our Better Oscars episode. And then on next Thursday, maybe Friday, we'll have another Picard review. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.